Move out, but be careful. Decepticons are attacking our launch site. Where's Prime?
He's on Cybertron. It's up to you, Ultra Magnus.
Autobots, transform and mount up!
When Ultra Magnus rolls into action, he takes on Decepticons.
Okay, to transform Ultra Magnus from his robot mode to his alt mode, first remove the handgun. So lift up and untab that, put that to the side. And you also need the small gun for the transformation to the alt mode. And then you want to remove these shoulder rockets. So here I'm pushing in to tab it in more, and then I'm pulling down and then removing it, and that helps to bring out this panel piece that's also part of the transformation. So same thing, pushing in to tab it in more so that I can pull it out and remove the shoulder rocket. And then we're going to come here to the back, and we're going to lift up this red piece by untabbing it and lift it up all the way, and then bring it down a little bit. And then you're going to untab this gray piece, and then we're going to fold this piece up to the back of his head. And then here, just lift that up a little bit more, because now we're going to separate this. But first we need to pull and untab the blue shoulder joints, and then we'll also untab the smaller ones as well to have some more clearance. And then we're going to flip out these two panel pieces, and then in there's additional panel pieces that you want to untab and fold those open. There's a tab that goes in that slot. Come to the other side and do the same thing. You want to untab it and fold that up. And then now we can lift up this whole white cap piece up 90 degrees. And then here, these two tire pieces, I'm just going to lift these up a little bit so that it makes it a little easier to bring out this panel piece on the bottom. And that also has another panel piece for the windows that you want to flip open. And then you could bring this whole piece up, but before we bring it up all the way, now we can push out these tires, and then we're going to push it all the way till it snaps in place. And then here, this piece, now we're going to bring it in between the two sides. You don't tab it in because we need to get the panel from the chest up here for the back and the top. So after we got that, now we could fold down this panel piece of the red backpack and then fold this whole piece down. But make sure you get this red panel piece to be forward so that it's touching the back of his head. And then now his head, you want to push back and also rotate back these antennas, because we need to make some clearance for the top part of the cab to flip over his head. So now you can see there's these two red pieces. There's a little gap in that white center. So put your finger in there and then lift up these two red pieces. And then these two blue side pieces, now we can rotate these open. And now we could lift up the chest from the bottom. So here you want to untab this, and then now we're going to lift this up. And here you'll see now we have the clearance to go over his head by tilting his head back and the antennas back. And then we can now bring this piece up and then flip it over to form the top of the cab. And here, make sure that that gray tab piece is out. So, because that's going to be tabbing in after. And then we can get all these tabs lined up, tab it in, and give it a good squeeze. And then the smokestacks, just flip those up like so. And then we can come back here to the front, these two red pieces. You could bring these back down and tab them in. And then now we need to get his head down through here. First thing is getting the antennas through and then the head. So to get the antennas through, the orientation, you could see the chest is going up vertical, and then it rotates 90 degrees going horizontal. And then you have this cab piece that you want to bring down at an angle. And then his head, you want to tilt forward to make some, get these antennas pushed back a little bit. And then you want to rotate these antennas down on both sides. And once we got that, make sure these things are orientated correctly. It will fit into that little open slot there. And then when you tilt his head back, now you could see the antennas go through. And then now we need to get his head through. So now we need to get this top red piece that's 90 degrees. Now we need to lift this up. Well, actually, that always comes out, but you can push this out. It's on a double hinge, so you're basically lifting this up. And now we're going to straighten out this red piece here. So his head tilted back forward, and then get this red piece all straight, and then tilt the cab down. And then you'll see when you push the head back, there's only just enough clearance for this to come through. So now as we're pushing the head through, we're lifting the white cab forward, and then you'll see the head easily comes through on a perfectly tight clearance here. And then after that, then you could lift up these antennas. And then while we're down here, there's these two red panel pieces that you want to rotate out that form the red gas tanks on both sides. And then here, these tires, you could flip them out, but most likely you're going to have to flip them out again because these don't snap in place like these tires do up here, Magic Square. And then we can come back to the front, and this gray piece of the backpack, now that's going to come down to cover his face on that tab. So bring it down all the way till that tab gets connected, and give it a good squeeze. Now we have the front part done. And then here, yeah, I guess we could do the arms. You could do the legs or the arms, but here I'll just do the arms now. So the arms, you want to straighten them out, and then you want to pull the forearm forward all the way so that you have room to bring out this blue panel piece that flips out and tabs in. Once we got that, then on the bottom or the back, right, you can see you want to just kind of pull it down a little bit so that now we have the room to rotate this whole arm piece forward or back or whatever, like so. And then this panel piece that we pulled out, now we could flip it over to cover the front, and then rotate this whole piece around. And then there's this piece right here, the square piece. You want to make sure you fold those two side pieces down so it's nice and flat like so. And then we can straighten these out, tab it in, and we're going to rotate this part near the end. So to come to the other side, do the same thing. So straighten out his arm, extend this forearm out all the way so that we have room to bring out this panel piece that's going to rotate around to tab in. And then on the bottom here of the shoulder, you want to pull it down so that now we could rotate this whole arm piece forward like so. And then this piece, you want to fold these two sides down so it's straight like so. And then we're going to rotate the whole arm back this way. And then now we're going to straighten out all of this, get that tabbed in here. And like I said, we're going to rotate this near the end. But now this piece, fold that up like so. And then you can get these arms out of the way, come to these legs. And the first thing, so that you don't forget, is that you need to push these thighs back like the Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. You want to make sure you push those thighs back, and then spread his legs out at an A stance so we have room here. And then you want to pull down the white ramp, and then we're going to rotate his outer leg in, and then we're going to bring out this piece here that has all these panels that now you want to flip this open. And then there's another panel up here you want to bring out, and then there's this piece you also want to bring out. And then there's a second panel. There's this one that you want to bring out that has a panel in here also that you want to bring out. So that's two. And then the third one is this panel piece back here. So here you're going to rotate this foot this way, and we're going to push this panel piece out. Well, in here we're going to push out that way so we can lift this whole piece up. So that's 3 panel pieces on the leg that we're bringing out. And then we can rotate this foot back like so. And then we can drop down that panel piece, come to the bottom, push back here on the heel to open it up a little bit more, so that now we could fold up that panel piece and then bring this piece down and it tabs in. And then these wheels, you want to rotate it down at an angle, rotate it around 180, and then lift it back up like so. And then I don't like doing it this way, but I'm trying to do the whole side and then do the same thing on the other. And then after we got that, now we can get this piece tabbed in here. You could see there's a tab that goes into the thigh. There's a tab that goes into the hip, and get those tabbed in. And then here you want to get these puzzle piece tabs to go in like so, and give it a good squeeze. And those tires, I told you, you're most likely going to have to bring them out. And then the back here, you want to get this tab to go in, tab it in all the way, and then lift this ramp up. So go ahead and do the same on this side. So bring down this white panel piece, the ramp, and then we're going to rotate the outer part of the leg in so that we could bring out this panel piece that has these panels in it that you want to flip open, one, and then there's another one in there. And then back here, there's this panel piece you want to bring out. And then here, that's one. And then there's this panel piece you want to flip up that has another panel piece in there that you want to bring out. And then there's this piece. So I'll try to show you. You could see there's the top and the inner side. So we're pushing out the inner part. And then so that we can bring out this piece, if that made sense. So now we can lift that up. So that's 3. After we got that done, now we can rotate this foot around 2 directions till you're getting it in this position. And then here you could bring down the wheel, rotate it around, and then 180, and then bring it back up. That also doesn't tab in place like this tires. And then come to the bottom. You want to push back on the heel, fold up this panel, bring this down, tab it in, give it a good squeeze. And then now we're going to tab all of these in. The red tab goes into the thigh, another red tab goes into the hip. So get those tabs lined up, tabbed in, give it a good squeeze. And then up here, that puzzle piece tab for the blue area. Get those tabbed in, give it a good squeeze, and then back here, the red piece, fold that down, tab it in, give it a good squeeze, and then this red piece, just fold that down, it doesn't tab in. And then there's his hip skirt here. You want to pull back, it's on a post that extends out, and then rotate that 180, you could see the slots, and then we're gonna push it back down to tab those in, give it a good squeeze. And then while we're down here, there's a mushroom tab that you need to go up and over, tab that in, and then bring up these ramps like so. And then now we can come to these arms, bring them down, and then now we're gonna rotate these in, like just I don't know, about 80%, because now we need to take his 2 guns. So the large gun here that I custom painted gray, you want to bring out these tabs. So there's a tab here that you want to pull down on both sides. And then when you don't drop it, there's this post here that you want to fold back, and these are going to tab into the front right there, that slot. So find the tab and the slot, line it up, tab it in, and give it a good squeeze. So get that tabbed in. It's pretty tight. And then here you could see there's a slot for the small handgun that you could see needs to lift up. And then here the post here does not go down, so you need to orient this so that it's in the right direction. So first you need to find the tab. So it's going to go in this position and get that tabbed in. Find the tab and the slot, line it up, tab it in, give it a good squeeze. And then you could see now there's a tab from the guns, and then there's that blue slot for the blue tab on the other side. Now we're going to bring these two together, get all those tabs to line up, all those 3 tabs to line up, get them tabbed in. Once you get them tabbed in, carefully give it a good squeeze. And then now we could bring this down, and you could see there's slots here for the tabs here. So bring them through on both sides, get them tabbed in, and then give that a good squeeze. And like I said, these wheels, they don't snap in place like here, and this doesn't tab in either. And the smokestack sometimes falls down. And then the last thing is take the shoulder guns, and you could see this is the top, so it goes on this side where the post is. Get that tabbed in, get this side tabbed in as well. And after that, now we have Ultra Magnus in his alt mode.
Ultra Magnus!
The courageous Ultra Magnus is a born leader. We meet at last, Galvatron.
And it will be the last time we meet.
And Galvatron is Ultra Magnus' sworn enemy.
Transformers!